It's the last day of the decade, so it's the perfect time to talk about what I think are the best films of the decade. Hey everybody, my name is Justin. I love to watch movies. If you guys love to watch movies too, you guys are in the right spot. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell notification for more up and coming videos. Today, I'll be sharing with you guys what I think are the 10 best films of the decade. According to my Flickchart account, which I've had for almost 10 years now, which is similar to Letterboxd, I have seen over 1,700 movies this decade. So it was very hard to think what are the 10 best films of this decade when you've seen over 1,000 movies. It was a daunting task, but I think I have a clear vision of what my 10 favorite films are. Make sure to leave your list down below. What do you think are the best films from this decade? This is the best movies of the decade. Your list may be, and probably will be, completely different than mine, but when I think of movies from this decade, these are ones that I think are the best. Coming in at number 10 is Silver Linings Playbook. Silver Linings Playbook is one of the only films that I've watched and then immediately wanted to watch right after that. I bought it on Blu-ray, did not see it in theaters, watched it, and then immediately just let the credits roll, and then I hit play again, and I just fell in love with this movie. Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro's performances in here are all dysfunctional, but they are so outstanding. Bradley Cooper plays Pat, a man with bipolar disorder who is released from a psychiatric hospital and moves in with his parents. You can tell that Bradley Cooper is really trying to better his life. He wants to get back with his wife, but he meets Jennifer Lawrence and together they enter a dance competition together. It's a quirky, romantic film filled with really good performances, a really good message as well. And as the story moves along, it becomes more compelling and you understand the characters a little more. Much like Pat, this movie kind of goes through different tone shifts. Pat has abrupt mood changes, and the movie quickly matches that as well. Silver Linings Playbook is easily one of my favorite films from this decade. Coming at number 9 is Avengers Endgame. I've talked about Avengers Endgame a lot this year so far. It's my favorite movie of this year, and Avengers Endgame just took everything that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done and put it into one movie. The characters in here are outstanding, the best I've ever seen them. Has a truly epic cinematic moment at the end. Endgame is truly epic. It's action-packed, and that's why it sits at number 9. Coming at number 8 is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I love reading all of the novels. Every few months, I go on a binge of the Harry Potter movies. The Sci-Fi Channel loves to play the Harry Potter films. Whenever they're airing that marathon, I'm always watching it. I remember seeing Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 in theaters, and then seeing it again, I think at the 3 a.m. showing, and crying both times. The end scene with 19 years later, and then the Snape scene as well. They're both tear-jerker moments. And from beginning to end, it's just a quickly paced movie as Harry is trying to get further and further in his mission to kill Lord Voldemort. I absolutely loved Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I love how it's filmed. I love how intense it is. It's very emotional at times. It's everything you could ask for a Harry Potter fan like myself at an end of the series and how it is. Coming at number 7 is Before Midnight. I love the Before trilogy directed by Richard Linklater. Before Midnight has really great directing from Richard Linklater. He lets his characters just have conversations and you get really invested in what they're talking about. What I appreciate about this movie is that it's not another sweet film from the first and second film, which those are just magnificent movies and they're really lovely films. Before Midnight is a really lovely film as well, but it challenges both the characters within this movie, and it's honestly a realistic approach to these characters that have known each other for so long. There, of course, is going to be some conversations that they don't want to have, but this film handles it so well while offering some really great dialogue, really great tracking scenes that Richard Linklater has mastered throughout the years. Before Midnight is just such a beautiful film, and I really hope that we get another one in 2022 because he does one every 9 years, and 2013 is when Before Midnight came out, so do the math. 2022. Coming at number 6 is The Wolf of Wall Street. This is my favorite Martin Scorsese film. The Wolf of Wall Street is just crazy. It is an absolute thrill of a movie. It is crazy. Leonardo DiCaprio's performance goes from something kind of sweet, and he's an innocent young man, and he's married, and then it spirals out of control. That's what this movie does. It just gets crazier and crazier as it's going along. This is a 3-hour film, and it doesn't feel like a 3-hour movie. It just feels like an hour and a half movie, because you're just so invested in everybody's performance. Leonardo DiCaprio, Jonah Hill, Matthew McConaughey's short but very iconic performance in the movie is some of the best of this decade. The energy that flows through this movie, it's so crazy. And how the actors are, and all the drugs and drinking and everything that's going on, the movie's pacing just matches that. And so it never lags and never falls behind what the characters are doing. Martin Scorsese has to keep up with that, and he definitely does a great job. Coming at number 5 is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I love Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. There's just so much that I appreciate about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Edgar Wright does a great job directing this film, having a lot of moments that video game nerds and comic book nerds would appreciate. Not familiar with video games and different things, you probably will miss it. But little sound effects, little things that go on the screen, all of it just adds to the fact that this is such a cool, vibrant movie. Michael Cera gives a really good performance in here as a quirky young man who's fallen in love with Ramona Flowers, and she is quirky as well. The whole movie is just a treat for the eyes. It is a visual feast. It's so fun. It's action-packed. It's hilarious. Chris Evans in this film is funny. All the different ex-boyfriends in the movie are a blast to watch. It's a movie that is so enjoyable, and I absolutely love watching it. Coming in at number 4 is La La Land. La La Land is just such a sweet film. I love musicals in general, but when I saw the trailer for this, I could not get this movie out of my mind. And I remember vividly getting an invite for a screening for this film, and I already had a previous screening set up for, I think it was Why Him, and I told my wife that we were going to go see Why Him, and I said, scrap that. We have to go see La La Land. We have to go see it. So we went and saw La La Land, and I just fell in love with this movie. I absolutely adore this film. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone have such great chemistry within this movie, and they've appeared on screen before together, but this movie is just outstanding. The moments with all the musical numbers are filmed so beautifully. The music in here is so catchy. It is one of my favorite musicals of all time. I fall in love with La La Land every time I watch it. These next 3 films are not only my favorite movies of this decade, but all 3 of these movies are in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. These are the best movies of this decade, and it was really hard to place them on this list, but I absolutely love all 3 of these movies in a different way. But coming at number 3 is Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 is my favorite Pixar film, my favorite animated film. But Toy Story 3 took the characters that we've loved and just really shook up the dynamics of them and the relationship. It felt so welcome. It's such an emotional movie that these toys just have so much emotion within them, and it's crafted so well. The end where they're going down into the incinerator and they're like accepting their death. It's crazy to me that you can get all these emotions from toys. But it is a beautiful film. The animation looks great. Lotso is the villain. You love him at first, but then you understand him a little more. He's a really iconic villain within the Pixar movies. I love Toy Story 3. Coming at number 2 is Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road caught me by surprise. Up until that moment, I did not see the previous Mad Max film. So going into that movie, I was completely blind with the whole movies, and I just was like, okay, I want to see this movie. It looks really cool. Tom Hardy in the movie. Let's go see Mad Max Fury Road. And I walked out, and it was instantly like, this is my favorite film of this year. One of my favorite films of all time. Mad Max Fury Road is just a crazy action-packed movie that is filmed so well from George Miller. Immortan Joe is the coolest villain of this decade. He is so unique, his design, and him as the character is just crazy. The whole movie is just crazy, action-packed. I love the color schemes. I love the direction, how epic this movie feels. So much effort went into Mad Max and crafting such a unique action film that is very memorable. And it's absolutely insane what they did with the film. But coming in at number 1 is my favorite film of the decade, and it is my second favorite film of all time. And that is the 2011 Ryan Gosling film, Drive. Seeing Drive in theaters, I knew I was seeing a classic. I knew I was seeing something special. Ryan Gosling's character doesn't even have a name in the movie. His name is Driver on the credits. He is an icy character that lacks emotions right away within the film. He does jobs for people, he drives them, he's good at what he does, and those action scenes are filmed very well from Nicholas Winding Refn. But as he meets people, as he meets Carey Mulligan and her son, he starts to open up, and those moments become very heartwarming. He's letting people in his life, and those moments are great, and it has such good music. There's that really good moment when they're just having fun for the day, and A Real Hero by College and Electric Youth plays over that scene. It's so good. And then the opening sequence with Night Call by Kavinsky is such a great song as well, and it fits that scene. And for the longest time, that was my opening for my YouTube channel. So I love Drive. I love the progression of the characters, who going from someone who's really icy and closed off to opening up. It's a great progression of the character. It's violent. It's filmed so well. Ryan Gosling's performance is really great. Oscar Isaac is in the movie. I completely forget about that most of the time. Most of the time I just think of him now as Poe Dameron in the Star Wars films, but he was in there as Carey Mulligan's husband. He just got out of jail. He needs Ryan Gosling's help for a job. But it all leads to a crazy ending. I love this film. It's my second favorite film of all time. Honestly, can see Drive and Mad Max and Toy Story 3 all sitting at where they're sitting now in my top 10 for a very long time. These are great films. I'm truly anticipating the next decade. I'm thinking about what is going to be the best comedy of the decade. What is going to be the best action film? What is going to be the best horror film? I'm so excited to start a new decade and see how these movies are going to be. We got 10 more years of great new films, and I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out. So there you guys have it. These are my 10 favorite films of the decade. These are what I think are the best movies that were released over the last 10 years. It's crazy that I've been on YouTube for 7 years and a couple months now, and I've experienced a lot of these movies while being on YouTube. I really have loved it, and I can see myself doing this for another 10 years and talking about movies for 10 more years with you guys. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Make sure to leave your list down below. What are the 10 best films of the decade for you? Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and click that notification for more up and coming videos. My name is Just Watch Movies, and you guys stay classy here too.